My name is Jolan Brooks. I'm 38 years old. And 5 years ago, I lost almost everything I thought mattered. 5 years ago, I was the kind of man nobody noticed. I wasn't rich. I wasn't powerful. I didn't drive luxury cars. Most mornings started before sunrise. Most nights ended long after dark. I worked maintenance for a commercial property company in Atlanta. The pay wasn't terrible. The hours were. But I never complained. Because every exhausting day had a purpose. Every extra shift. Every weekend overtime assignment. Every missed football game. Every missed barbecue. Every missed vacation. All of it was for my family. For Monica. For our daughter Ava. Especially Ava. When my daughter was born, I made myself a promise. No matter how difficult life became, she would never doubt that her father loved her. And for years I kept that promise. Every school recital, every parent conference, every birthday, every scraped knee, every nightmare that woke her in the middle of the night. I was there. Sometimes exhausted. Sometimes stressed. Sometimes wondering how I was going to pay the next bill. But I was there. Monica used to appreciate that. At least she did in the beginning, back when we were both struggling. Back when we lived in a tiny apartment with peeling paint and broken air conditioning. Back when our furniture came from thrift stores. Back when our television sat on milk crates because we couldn't afford a proper stand. Those were difficult years, but they were also some of the happiest years of my life. Because Monica and I were a team, at least I thought we were. I still remember sitting beside her at our kitchen table while she studied for her business administration degree. I'd work 12-hour shifts. Come home exhausted, cook dinner, help with Ava. Then stay awake until midnight helping Monica prepare presentations and assignments. There were nights I barely slept, but I didn't care, because every success she achieved felt like our success. Every good grade felt like our victory. Every opportunity she received felt like another step toward the future we were building together. And for a long time, Monica appreciated it. She would squeeze my hand and tell me she couldn't have done it without me. I believed her. Then everything changed. Not all at once. Slowly, quietly. The way rust spreads through metal. The way cracks spread through glass. The way distance spreads through a marriage. It started after she got promoted. The promotion doubled her salary. Then another promotion followed. Then another. Within 4 years, Monica was earning more money than I ever had. At first, I celebrated her success. I bought flowers, took her to dinner, told everyone how proud I was. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. She stopped seeing me as the husband who helped her succeed, and started seeing me as the man who hadn't succeeded enough. The comments began subtly. You should really think bigger. You've been in the same job forever. Don't you want more out of life? At first, I ignored it. Then the comments became sharper, more frequent, more personal, until one evening, she said something that stayed with me for years. We were sitting at dinner when she looked around our modest house and sighed. Then she said 4 words that changed everything. I'm tired of struggling. I looked around the room. We weren't struggling. The mortgage was paid. Food filled the refrigerator. Our daughter was healthy. Bills were covered. We weren't rich, but we were stable. Apparently that wasn't enough anymore. Because Monica wasn't comparing our life to reality. She was comparing it to people on social media, executives, influencers, luxury vacations, designer lifestyles. And every time she compared our life to theirs, I came up short. As months passed, the respect disappeared. Arguments increased. Conversations became colder. Silence became normal. Sometimes she'd spend entire evenings scrolling through her phone, without saying a single word to me. Other times she'd criticize everything. My job, my clothes, my goals, my routines. Nothing seemed good enough anymore. The hardest part wasn't what she said. It was what Ava started noticing. One night my daughter climbed onto my lap while I sat alone in the living room. Daddy. Yeah, baby. Why is Mummy always mad at you? The question hit harder than any insult ever could. Because children notice everything. Even the things adults think they're hiding. I forced a smile. Mommy isn't mad at me. Ava tilted her head. Then why doesn't she smile at you anymore? I had no answer. And deep down, I already knew the truth. The woman I married was disappearing, and I didn't know how to bring her back. 3 months later, I came home early from work. The house was unusually quiet. Ava was staying with my parents for the weekend. Monica sat alone at the dining room table. A stack of papers rested in front of her. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she looked up, and the expression on her face told me everything before she ever opened her mouth. The marriage was over. Slowly, she pushed the document across the table, toward me. My eyes dropped to the first page, and the moment I read the title, my entire future changed. Divorce petition. I looked up at Monica. She didn't cry. She didn't hesitate. She didn't look uncertain. Instead, she said 7 words that would echo inside my head for years. I think we've outgrown each other, Yalan. And then she revealed the real reason she wanted out. The words hit harder than I expected. I think we've outgrown each other, Yalan. Then Monica leaned back in her chair and folded her arms. For several seconds, I simply stared at her. Not because I was shocked. Deep down, I had seen this coming for months, maybe even years. The argument, the criticism, the disappointment in her eyes every time she looked at me. The way she talked about successful men. The way she compared our life to everyone else's. The way she slowly stopped seeing me as a husband and started seeing me as her biggest mistake. Still, hearing it out loud hurts more than I can describe. I've changed, she continued. I want different things now. I nodded slowly. What things? She laughed softly. The sound felt cold. Yelen, look around. I looked around our dining room. The same dining room where we celebrated birthdays. The same dining room where we planned our future. The same dining room where I spent countless nights helping her finish college assignments. Nothing seemed different to me, but apparently it looked very different through her eyes. I'm tired of living like this. The sentence hung in the air. Living like what? A family? A stable home? A life without luxury? I wanted to ask. Instead, I remained silent, because something inside me already knew there was no saving this conversation. No argument would change her mind. No speech would bring back the woman I married. That woman was already gone. Monica pushed a pen toward me. I think signing now will make everything easier. Easier. Funny word. Divorce is never easy, especially when a child is involved. Especially when you're still in love with the person leaving. I looked at Ava's drawing hanging on the refrigerator. A simple picture of our family. 3 smiling stick figures holding hands. Mum. Dad. Ava. The sight nearly broke me, but I kept my face calm. Because I refused to let my daughter grow up, remembering her father begging someone to stay. I picked up the pen. Monica looked surprised. You aren't going to fight me? I shook my head. No. Her eyebrows lifted, almost as if she had prepared herself for a battle. Instead, she found peace. And somehow that seemed to bother her. You really don't care? That question hurt, because the truth was the opposite. I cared more than she would ever know. But love cannot force someone to stay, and dignity matters. Even when your heart is breaking. I signed 1 signature, then another, then another. 12 years of marriage reduced to a few strokes of ink. When I finished, Monica stared at the papers, almost disappointed, as though she wanted me to argue, wanted me to beg, wanted proof that she still mattered. Instead, I stood up. I'll always be Eva's father. She nodded. Of course! I'll always support her. Another nod. Then silence. The next few weeks felt like a funeral nobody attended. Furniture disappeared. Rooms became emptier. The house became quieter. Lawyers exchanged paperwork. Assets were divided. Schedules were negotiated. Every day felt surreal. I moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment across town. Nothing fancy. Nothing impressive. Just enough space for me and Ava during my custody days. The first night alone was the hardest. I sat on the edge of my bed staring at blank walls. No television. No decorations. No family photographs. Just silence. The kind of silence that forces you to hear every painful thought. I barely slept. The following months were even worse. Most people only see divorce from the outside. They see signatures, court documents, moving trucks. What they don't see are the quiet moments afterward. The loneliness, the self-doubt, the fear, the endless questions. Could I have done more? Could I have saved it? Was I really not enough? Those questions followed me everywhere. At work. At home. While driving. While eating. While trying to sleep. Especially while trying to sleep. Some nights I would lie awake until 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling, then wake up exhausted and do it all over again. The only thing that kept me moving was Ava. Every time she walked through my apartment door smiling, the darkness lifted a little. Every time she hugged me, I remembered why quitting wasn't an option. One Saturday afternoon, she sat beside me on the couch eating ice cream. "Daddy." "Yeah? Are you sad?" "Children notice everything." I smiled. "Sometimes." She thought about that, then wrapped her small arms around me. "It's okay." I swallowed hard. "What's okay?" "Being sad." I looked away before tears could form, because somehow my 8-year-old daughter understood strength better than most adults. Months passed. Then a year. Monica's life seemed to improve. Promotions, vacations, luxury purchases, social media photographs. Meanwhile, I worked overtime, extra shifts, weekend assignments, anything to stay financially stable. One evening after another exhausting day, I found myself sitting in a coffee shop reading business articles on my phone. I had always dreamed about starting something of my own. Nothing huge, just something meaningful. Something I could build. Something nobody could take away. That night an idea appeared. A simple service company focused on commercial property maintenance. I knew the industry. I understood the problems. I knew what customers needed. The idea excited me. For the first time in months I felt hopeful. The next morning I started planning. Then reality arrived. Banks rejected my applications. Investors ignored my emails. Potential customers chose larger companies. Every obstacle seemed determined to prove I was wasting my time. But failure teaches lessons success never can. Each rejection forced me to improve. Each mistake made me smarter. Each setback revealed weaknesses I needed to fix. So I kept going. While others slept, I studied. While others relaxed, I learned. Business books, sales training, marketing strategies, leadership courses, financial management, anything I could get my hands on. The process was exhausting, but something strange began happening. I stopped focusing on Monica, stopped focusing on the divorce, stopped focusing on what I lost. Instead, I became obsessed with what I could build. The pain transformed into fuel, not anger. Fuel. 2 years after signing the divorce papers, I launched my company. The beginning was brutal. Some months I barely earned enough to cover expenses. Other months were worse. Equipment broke, contracts disappeared, clients left. Several times I considered shutting everything down. One night I sat alone inside my tiny office reviewing the numbers. The business account was nearly empty. Payroll was due. Bills were piling up. Failure felt inevitable. I rubbed my eyes and stared at the wall. Maybe Monica had been right. Maybe I wasn't built for success. Maybe I should quit. Then my phone buzzed. A text message from Ava. 3 simple words. "I love you." That was it. Nothing else. No explanation. No context. Just 3 words. Yet somehow they changed everything. Because suddenly I remembered why I started. Not for luxury. Not for revenge. Not to prove Monica wrong. I started because I wanted to create a better future. For my daughter. For myself. For the man I wanted to become. The next morning I returned to work with renewed determination. And before noon, a phone call arrived that would change my life forever. A regional property management corporation wanted to meet. Not for a small contract. For the largest contract my company had ever seen. And as I listened to the details, I realized this opportunity was either going to save everything or destroy everything. The contract changed everything. Not because it made me rich overnight, because it proved I was capable of building something real. The regional property management contract became the foundation of everything that followed. For the first time since the divorce, I wasn't simply surviving. I was moving forward. The first year after securing the contract was brutal. Our company suddenly had responsibilities far beyond anything I had handled before. New employees, new locations, new clients, new risks. One mistake could destroy everything. I spent countless nights inside my office reviewing budgets and operational reports. Many mornings began before sunrise. Many nights ended after midnight. There were moments when I questioned whether I had taken on too much. But every challenge taught me something. Every problem forced me to improve. And little by little, the company became stronger. Within 2 years, we expanded into neighboring cities. Within 3 years, we were operating across multiple regions. This small business I started from a cramped office was becoming something much larger than I ever imagined. What surprised me most was how success actually felt. Movies make success look glamorous. The reality was different. Success felt like responsibility. It felt like pressure. It felt like waking up every day knowing dozens of families depended on the decisions you made. Yeah, I loved it, because every achievement had been earned. Nothing had been given to me. Nothing had been inherited. Everything had been built one difficult day at a time. As the business grew, my personal life improved too. I moved into a beautiful home in a quiet neighborhood. Not a mansion. Not yet. Just a comfortable place where Ava felt safe. A place that finally felt like home. The first time Ava saw her new bedroom, she ran through the doorway and froze. Then she turned around and smiled. A genuine smile. The kind only children can give. "Dad, this is really ours." I nodded. "Yes." She wrapped her arms around me immediately. At that moment, every sacrifice felt worthwhile. Karma, not because of the house, because of what it represented. Stability. Security. A future. For years, those were things I wasn't sure I could provide. Now they were becoming reality. As time passed, the company continued growing. Industry publications started mentioning our name. Business conferences invited me to speak. Investors began reaching out. The same people who ignored my emails years earlier suddenly wanted meetings. I found the irony amusing. When you're struggling, people rarely notice. When you're successful, everyone claims they believed in you all along. I learned to smile politely and keep moving. The business eventually reached a valuation that would have sounded impossible during my divorce. Millions of dollars. Comma. Then tens of millions. Comma. Then more. Still, I never forgot where I started. I never forgot the apartment, the sleepless nights, the fear, the uncertainty. Most importantly, I never forgot Ava. She remained the center of everything. One evening, while driving home from dinner, she asked a question that caught me off guard. "Dad, are you happy?" I thought about it carefully. Years earlier, I would have answered immediately. Now I wasn't so sure. Eventually, I nodded. "Yes." She smiled. "Good." "Why?" "Because you weren't happy for a long time." The observation hit harder than she realized. Children truly see everything, even when adults think they are hiding it. The truth was that I had spent years carrying pain I never talked about. Not because I wanted revenge, not because I hated Monica, because disappointment leaves scars, especially when it comes from someone you trusted completely. But something had changed over the years. The pain no longer controlled me. The divorce had become part of my story, not the entire story, and that made all the difference. Around that time, Monica started paying attention again. At first it was small things, unexpected messages, questions about Ava that slowly turned into questions about me. Then occasional phone calls. The conversations were polite, friendly even, but something felt different. There was curiosity in her voice, curiosity that hadn't existed for years. One afternoon she called while I was leaving a meeting. "I heard your company opened another office." I smiled slightly. News traveled fast. "Yeah. Congratulations." "Thank you." There was a pause. Then another. Finally, she asked the question she clearly wanted to ask. "So how many employees do you have now?" I gave a general answer. Nothing specific. When the conversation ended, I sat inside my car thinking about it. Years ago, Monica barely seemed interested in my life. Now she suddenly wanted details. The change wasn't difficult to notice. Months later, Ava celebrated her 16th birthday. We organized a dinner at a restaurant overlooking the city skyline. Family members gathered. Friends attended. Everyone seemed happy. For most of the evening, the focus remained exactly where it should have been, on Ava. But eventually there came a moment when Monica and I found ourselves alone near the balcony. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she looked at me. "You've changed." I laughed softly. "I hope so." "No," she replied. "I mean really changed." I understood what she meant. She wasn't talking about age or maturity. She was talking about success. The thing she once believed would never happen. The thing she had stopped believing in years before anyone else. I looked out across the city lights. People change, she nodded slowly. Then asked another question. Are you seeing anyone? I glanced at her. The question surprised me. Why? She shrugged. Just curious. The conversation ended soon afterward, but it stayed in my mind. Because for the first time, I sensed regret. Not obvious regret. Subtle regret. The kind people try very hard to hide. Over the next year, her curiosity continued growing. So did the rumors.com. Articles about the company appeared online. Industry publications discussed expansion plans. Business podcasts invited me for interviews. One accepted some, declined others. The attention never interested me much, but it made one thing impossible: hiding success. Eventually everyone knew, including Monica. Then came the envelope. A thick legal envelope delivered directly to my office. I opened it expecting routine paperwork. Instead, I found something I never anticipated. A legal claim. Filed by Monica.com. For several seconds I simply stared at the documents. The accusation seemed absurd. She claimed certain assets were connected to opportunities that originated during our marriage. According to her attorneys, she deserved compensation. I reread the documents multiple times. The argument made no sense. Every major contract, every company expansion, every investment, every asset had been created years after the divorce, yet somehow she believed she was entitled to a portion of it. Disappointment washed over me. Not fear, not anger. Disappointment. Because I genuinely believed we had moved beyond that chapter. Apparently I was wrong. My attorney reviewed everything immediately. His reaction was almost immediate. This won't hold up. You sure? He nodded confidently. The documentation is clear. That should have reassured me. Instead, it made me sad. Because regardless of the outcome, we were heading back to court, back to lawyers, back to arguments.com, back to a chapter one thought was finished forever. The legal battle quickly gained attention. Business publications covered the story. Industry insiders discussed it. Speculation spread. Every week seemed to bring another article, another rumor, another opinion. The closer we got to the hearing date, the larger the situation became. Then finally the court date arrived. The evening before the hearing, I stood inside my garage staring at the black Lamborghini Aventador parked beneath the lights. I had purchased it months earlier after closing the biggest deal of my career. Not because I needed it, because it represented something. Proof that persistence works. Proof that failure is temporary. Proof that difficult seasons eventually end. My phone vibrated. A message from my attorney appeared. 3 simple words. Ready for tomorrow? I looked at the screen, then at the Lamborghini, then toward the darkness beyond the garage. And suddenly I realized something. Tomorrow wasn't just a court hearing. Tomorrow was the day. Monica would finally come face to face with the consequences of underestimating me. The courthouse parking lot was already crowded when I arrived. Lawyers hurried toward the entrance carrying briefcases. Reporters stood near the front steps. People moved in every direction. Nobody paid attention to the black Lamborghini Aventador turning into the parking lot, at least not at first. I guided the car toward the front entrance and slowly pulled into an open space. The engine went silent. For a moment I remained seated, not because I was nervous, because I was thinking about the journey, the apartment, the sleepless nights, the rejection, the sacrifices, the years spent rebuilding a life that had fallen apart. Then I opened the door. The moment my feet touched the pavement, everything changed. Several heads turned immediately. Then more. The Lamborghini had a way of attracting attention, but the car wasn't what mattered. The people standing near the courthouse entrance quickly recognized who was stepping out of it. Me. Across the parking lot, Monica froze. Completely froze. 1 second she was speaking with her attorneys. The next second she was staring, her mouth slightly open. Her expression locked somewhere between shock and disbelief. Neither attorney noticed at first. Then they followed her gaze. One of them stopped talking mid-sentence. The other adjusted his glasses and looked again, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. I calmly closed the door and adjusted the sleeve of my navy suit. The same calm I had carried through every difficult year. The same calm Monica once mistook for weakness. People entering the courthouse slowed down. Whispers started. The atmosphere felt strange, silent, heavy, almost surreal. I began walking toward the entrance, step by step. Not rushing, not showing off, simply moving forward. Monica never took her eyes off me. When I finally stopped a few feet away, neither of us spoke. For several seconds, the only sound came from distant traffic. Then she broke the silence. "You drove that?" I almost smiled. Not because of the question, because of what it revealed. After everything that had happened, after all the years, that was the first thing she could think of. "Good morning, Monica." She blinked, clearly not expecting that response. One of her attorneys stepped forward. Professional, confident, prepared. Or at least he had been prepared, until he saw me arrive. "We'll see you inside." I nodded politely. Absolutely. The hearing itself lasted less than 2 hours. Years of assumptions collapsed in less than 2 hours. My attorney presented the evidence. Business formation records, tax document, investment timelines, contract histories, every major asset, every company expansion, every financial milestone. All of it happened after the divorce. The facts were undeniable. The timeline was undeniable. The truth was undeniable. As the evidence accumulated, I watched Monica's confidence slowly disappear, page after page, document after document. Reality became impossible to ignore. Eventually, the judge leaned forward. The courtroom became silent. Then came the decision. The claim was denied. Completely. The court found no legal basis for ownership, no legal basis for compensation, no legal basis for entitlement. The case was over, just like that. For several seconds, nobody moved. Monica stared downward. Her attorneys looked exhausted. The judge moved on to other matters. Life continued, because that's what life does. It continues. I stood, gathered my documents, and prepared to leave. No celebration, no victory speech, no revenge. None of it mattered. The only thing I felt was peace. Outside the courthouse, sunlight covered the parking lot. I stopped beside the Lamborghini and looked toward the sky. 5 years earlier, I had signed divorce papers without a fight. Most people thought I had lost. Maybe even Monica believed that. But losing a marriage wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter built on discipline, patience, growth, and purpose. My phone vibrated. A message from Ava. "Good luck today, Dad. Love you." I smiled immediately. That message meant more than any court victory, more than any business deal, more than any car. Because success was never really about money. It was about becoming the man my daughter could be proud of. I looked at the message one last time, then climbed into the Lamborghini. As the engine came to life, I drove away from the courthouse, not thinking about Monica, not thinking about the lawsuit, not thinking about the past. For the first time in years, I was only thinking about the future. Significant and educational value. This story is not about a Lamborghini, money, or winning in court. It is about what happens when a person chooses growth instead of bitterness. Jolan never became successful because he wanted revenge. He became successful because he refused to let pain define his future. Many people experience rejection, divorce, betrayal, financial hardship, or moments when others stop believing in them. The easy response is anger. The difficult response is discipline. Jalen's journey teaches that real success is built quietly through consistency, patience, and personal responsibility. It also reminds us that a parent's greatest legacy is not wealth, but character. Throughout every setback, Jalone remained focused on being the father Ava needed rather than the ex-husband seeking validation. That decision changed everything. This story is uniquely centered on the emotional consequences of divorce, the long-term impact of parental sacrifice, the realities of entrepreneurship, and the importance of self-respect. The lesson is simple but powerful. Never allow someone else's opinion to become your identity. People may underestimate you, leave you, or doubt your potential, but your future is determined by your actions, not their judgment. The greatest victory is becoming the person you were meant to be long after everyone else has stopped believing.